Hello everyone, myself Dr. Kusuma. In this class, we are going to study about the gestational trophoblastic diseases. The outline of my class will be like, first I tell the definition, classification of the gestational trophoblastic diseases, then in detail about the identity-deformed mole in the form of definition, classification, pathogenesis, clinical features, and then morphology. Finally, in brief about the invasive mole and choriocarcinoma. Finally, the summary. First, we'll go for the definition of the gestational trophoblastic diseases. These are the spectrum of tumor or tumor-like condition which characterized by proliferation of placental tissue, either villus or trophoblastic. These are the spectrum of tumor or tumor-like condition which characterized by the proliferation of placental tissue, either villus or trophoblastic. And they can be broadly classified into molar lesion and non-molar lesion. In molar lesion, we have identity-deformed mole, then invasive mole. In non-molar lesion, we have choriocarcinoma and placental site trophoblastic tumor. Now we will go about the identity-deformed mole. The word identity-deformed mole derived from the two words. The identity, it's a Greek word which means a drop of water, whereas mola it derived from the Latin word which means a mass. This identity-deformed mole is characterized by two features. One is cystic swelling of the chorionic villi or hydropic degeneration of the chorionic villi along with the variable trophoblastic proliferation. So you should remember the two features, cystic swelling of the chorionic villi along with the variable trophoblastic tissue proliferation. And this mole can be divided into two types, complete and partial, based on their pathogenesis as well as the morphology. Whether it is complete or partial mole, they present with the they are more common in the Asian population compared to US. That is common in lower socioeconomic group. The reason is unknown. And common in extremes of reproductive age, either it's less than 20 years or teenage pregnancy, and in case of more than 40 years. So it is more common in Asian population or lower socio-economic group, and common in extremes of reproductive age, and they present with vaginal bleeding along with the passage of grape-like vesicles. And the uterus may be small or large for the date along with the elevation of beta HCG level. The uterus will be small if it is partial mole, it is large if it is complete mole. And there will be absence of fetal heart sounds, and they may present with symptoms of toxemia in the form of hypertension or albuminuria. The symptoms of toxemia is develop more early in case of complete mole compared to partial mole. So irrespective of whether it is complete or partial mole, they present with vaginal bleeding along with the passage of grape-like vesicles along with the absence of fetal heart sound, and you should remember the biomarker which is elevated beta HCG level. Coming to the pathogenesis, the pathogenesis for the complete and the partial mole is different. This complete mole develops due to fertilization of the empty ovum by the single sperm or the two sperm. If empty ovum is fertilized by the single sperm, then there will be duplication of the chromosome leading to the formation of homozygous complete mole which is diploid in nature. Whereas if empty ovum is fertilized by the two separate sperms leading to formation of heterozygous complete mole, again it will be diploid in nature. And the process of fertilization of this empty ovum by the sperm which is having the genetic material purely of paternal origin, it's called as androgenesis. Whereas partial mole develops due to fertilization of the ovum with the two separate sperms leading to the formation of triploid mole. Here genetic material develops both from the maternal and the paternal genetic material. So it is genetic in case of complete mole, the genetic material is purely of paternal origin, whereas in partial mole genetic material is both from the uh, mother and the father. And macroscopically they both present with the grape-like vesicles. Only difference is the presence of normal villous tissue or the placental tissue. In complete mole, the entire thing will be replaced by grape-like vesicle. You can see the small vesicles which are translucent and they are filled with the clear fluid, and these are the blood clots. And in partial mole, you can see both normal placenta or the normal villi along with the grape-like vesicles. Here you can see the grape-like vesicles, and the pinkish material what you are seeing here the normal placental tissue. Again in microscopy, there will be you should remember the two changes. One is hydropic changes in the villi, other one is the trophoblastic proliferation. This hydropic degeneration of the villi means there will be dilatation of the villi, or the villi will be edematous, and there will be absence of fetal capillaries, the absence of capillaries within the villi. You can see this is the normal villi. You can see this villi is lined by cytotrophoblast, and inside the stroma contains the what orangish thing you are seeing is the capillaries. Whereas here what you are seeing is the villi is lined by cytotrophoblast, and what multinucleated cells here you are seeing are the cytotrophoblast. The stroma, in stroma there will be absence of absence of capillaries, and the trophoblastic proliferation will be circumferential. The entire villi show circumferential proliferation of the trophoblastic tissue. This occurs in case of complete mole. Whereas in partial mole, again there will be hydropic changes in the villi along with the trophoblastic proliferation, but the trophoblastic proliferation will be focal in nature, not circumferential, and along with the hydropic changes in the villi, there will be presence of this normal villi. Normal villi will be there in the partial mole. So you should remember, irrespective of the partial or the complete mole, the changes will be same. That is, hydropic changes in the villi will be present and trophoblastic proliferation will be there. And whereas in partial mole, the normal villous tissue will be seen, whereas in complete mole you won't see any normal villous tissue. So you should remember this one. Now coming to the overall difference between the complete and the partial mole. The karyotype in the complete mole will be 46XX or 46XY. It's a diploid in nature, whereas partial mole it is triploid. It's 69XXY or 69XXX, and fetal tissue will be absent in complete mole, whereas in partial mole it will be present. Involvement of the villi will be diffuse in complete mole, and it is focal in partial mole. And trophoblastic hyperplasia will be circumferential in complete mole, and it is focal in partial mole. And malignant change, that means it can go for the choriocarcinoma development. In complete mole, 2 to 2.5% of the cases will develop into choriocarcinoma, whereas partial mole rarely they can go for malignant change. Now we'll move on to the invasive mole. This invasive mole, it's also called as destructive mole, or it's also called as chorioadenoma destruens. Why it is called destructive mole? Just because it will infiltrate the underlying myometrium, and usually it follows the complete mole, and patient presents with the persistent elevation of the beta HCG after expulsion of the complete mole, and grossly it presents as hemorrhagic irregularly border lesion which infiltrate the myometrium. This is locally destructive one which infiltrate the myometrium. Sometimes it can go up to the serosa, and then it can or it can spread to the adnexa, that is surrounding structure, and it can lead to hemoperitoneum or rupture of the uterus causing hemoperitoneum. But here you should remember one thing: it is a locally destructive tumor, but it will not produce any metastasis. Here in this microscopic picture, what you are seeing is the normal villi, which this is the myometrial tissue. Normally this villous tissue will not enter the myometrium. Here I will show villous tissue within the myometrium. That's why it's called as invasive mole, locally destructive one. We'll move on to the choriocarcinoma. It's a highly malignant tumor of the placental tissue, and it is widely metastasizing one. And usually 50% of the cases it develops after complete mole. In 25% cases it develops after abortion. 22 0.5% of the cases develops after normal pregnancy, and 2.5% of the cases develops after ectopic pregnancy. And it presents with vaginal bleeding following normal or abnormal delivery or pregnancy. Then presents with persistent high levels of beta HCG, and rarely they can present with the secondary hemorrhage in the metastatic site. The common site for metastasis is the lung, vagina, brain, and liver. Here you can see the hemorrhagic area in the lung. And these tumors are highly responsive to chemotherapy. Once the chemotherapy is given, this patient has to be followed up with a serial beta HCG level estimation to look for the any presence of tumor. Then macroscopically it does presents as ill-defined friable mass with large areas of necrosis and hemorrhage. Here you can see the hemorrhagic mass. This is the uterine wall, and here you can see the large hemorrhagic mass, and this here you can see the necrotic area. And microscopically, you should remember one thing: there will be absence of identifiable villi. If the villi is identified, then your choriocarcinoma is ruled out. So there will be absence of villi and presence with sheets of anaplastic trophoblastic tissue in the bizarre. Cytotrophoblast or the syncytiotrophoblasts, and then there will be areas of hemorrhage and necrosis. Here you can see it's a highly anaplastic tumor. You can see the highly pleomorphic cells, and this is the large hyperchromatic cells having prominent nucleoli and clump chromatin. Here you can see the mitosis, and here you can see the areas of hemorrhage. So there will be absence of identifiable villi in the sections, and presence of highly anaplastic cyto and syncytiotrophoblasts, which is haphazardly arranged, and areas of hemorrhage and necrosis will be present. To sum up, this gestational trophoblastic diseases are the proliferation of the placental tissue, either villous or trophoblastic one, and broadly they can be classified into molar and non-molar lesions. In molar lesions we have complete mole and aditidiform mole and invasive mole. The aditidiform mole can be classified into complete and the partial one, and in non-molar lesion we have choriocarcinoma and placental site trophoblastic tumor. You should remember this one: invasive mole is the locally destructive tumor, whereas choriocarcinoma is a locally destructive and widely metastasizing neoplasm of the placental tissue. Thank you.